you know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Imagine a long road trip where the designated DJ isn't forced to flip from station to station, avoiding commercials and trying desperately to find a signal. Where you're not forced to resort to endless rounds of the license plate game to kill time. Stop imagining and start listening to commercial-free music from nearly every genre, coast to coast. Subscribe to SiriusXM and your music stays with you, whether you hit the interstate or take the back roads. Call 844-711-8800 to activate your radio now. Their voices defined pop music and pop culture for the past 5 decades. In celebration of Women's History Month, the Billboard Women of Pop Top 1000 Countdown. The Her Story of the Pop Charts. For a limited time on Channel 79 and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
Championship is on SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92.
To the hole, could go in again! There it is for Scotty Scheffler.
The best field in golf takes on the challenge of hitting the iconic Island Green.
The thing about 17, you're standing back there and you're going, this isn't really that hard. And it really isn't, except for the moment.
Live coverage from the stadium course at TPC Sawgrass begins Thursday at noon Eastern. It's the Players' Championship on Channel 92 in the car and the all-new SiriusXM app.
To hear the Players' Championship on SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
With the greenest, liveliest, shamrockingest Irish music from the Pogues, U2, Dropkick Murphys, and more. St. Paddy's Day Radio, taking over Channel 28 all weekend. And get a head start on the holiday with the essential St. Paddy's Day pub mix.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's neat. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's neat.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0184868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day, March 13th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit ya with a good Lord split you, as well as driving a fleet of Cadillac cars. Really do appreciate that. I'm telling you, it's called Hump Day in beautiful Northern California. but it's all fair level work. I tell you what I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast is I get to do the show whenever I feel like it. And what did James Brown say? He said in a song one time, he said, I feel good. He said, I feel good. You knew that I would. Sing it with me. I feel nice. The sugar and spice. So nice. So nice. I got you. We want the real James Brown. Okay, well, you can't get the real James Brown, but you can sing it with me. I love James Brown. You just got to think about it. But I want to tell you what I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I can use more laughter. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. Steph Curry for 3! But he has to get his ankle fixed first. All's fair level war. And then the show is uploaded to 29 podcast applications out of New York City. And I'm in Dimdale Hills, California. If that makes sense to you. Where's Dimdale Hills, Big C? It's in Dimdale Hills, if that makes sense to you. And then the show is streaming on 4 TV platforms. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Really do appreciate that. And then number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days at Salem Media. Really do appreciate that. You can give that some praise. Now we got people who miss a day in practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. I never missed a show. Detroit paid Sunshine and Rain. I want to tell you what I don't want to miss is ever giving out the Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on me. When you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. We want the real Two Life Crew. I don't think Two Life Crew sing that song. We can all use some leading on me, if that makes sense to you. You know, what I tell you, I love with Big C Sports Podcast, I love giving so much praise to people that have helped me rise and shine every day. And part of who helped me rise and shine, I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said reparations now. He said reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. I don't want my church friends calling me Mr. C. The pastor want to talk to you about misrepresenting the Bible. Come on, have a personality, pastor. Some guys act like they're so perfect, like they never made a mistake. But you know, we all make mistakes. That's why we all can say we're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but I do want to say thank you to This is CNN, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want to say thank you to T-Mobile, America's largest 5G network, proud sponsors of Big C Sports. And I want to say thank you to PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports Podcast. I want $6 billion. I'm not shucking a dollar. Today, the lottery is $559 million. And I think I won it. I'm going to say I've already won it, because they say you have not because you ask not. I heard that from some good pastors. I don't want them to lie, if that makes sense to you. But I do want to give praise. Give that some praise. Big C won $559 million. And I want to get, they say, do you want the annuity or do you want the cash payment? I'm going to say I want my money in nickels and dimes. That'll teach them nickels and dimes. Life is so funny. But I also want to say, I think I'm the only sports show in the universe that pays homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline and the California Reparations Task Force, and I may be the only one that does it. I want to thank the chair, attorney, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I want to thank the Dr. Amos C. Brown, vice chair. He's brilliant. I want to thank California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant, also sponsored of the California Reparations Task Force. I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Steppe. She's brilliant. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I want to thank Dr. Cheryl Grills. She's brilliant. I want to thank attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, also professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I want to thank attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. They all know a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Give them some praise. I said give them praise, praise, praise. I love doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. I want to thank Double O, part of the National Black Wall Street Project Payout Committee. She sent me Executive Order 13985 on further advancing racial support and equity for underserved communities through the federal government. I want to thank Brother Liam Shabazz, the owner of Crescent Sports Media, and also part of the National Black Wall Street Project co-chair. I really do appreciate him. And then Double O also has her own financial awareness show called Let's Eat. I want to give her some praise. You know, we all have talk shows when we're part of the National Black Wall Street Project. And I want to thank the president and CEO of the National Black Wall Street Project, the inimitable Reverend Tony Pierce, the president and CEO of the National Black Wall Street Project. I want to give it some praise. I love giving praise. You know, when you got pastors and friends, you got to give them all praise, and they've been praying for me. And Pastor Eugene, I got to reach out to you also. Really do appreciate all the wonderful things that you've done and just giving me some direction to go in life, and always say follow God. That's what I love doing, but that makes sense to you. I want to also thank I want to thank Georgetown University. You know, we have March Madness coming up, and Georgetown, when you think of Georgetown University, you think of March Madness. But the real madness is when they were selling black bodies to pay off the debt of Georgetown University. Oh, Big C, I don't believe that. But you can Google it. Georgetown University, they pledged over $1 billion and counting. Now, why would they pledge over $1 billion? Because they know they were selling black bodies to pay off the debt. Men, women, and children. You ever sell a man, woman, or a child to pay off debt? Oh, that would be egregious. Well, the United States government did it. That's a long time ago. A long time ago. But in God's eyes, it's just like it happened yesterday. So I praise Georgetown for pledging over $1 billion and counting for reparations to descendants of chattel slavery, the 272 families that were sold off to help pay off the debt for Georgetown. Isn't that draconian? You would sell a person to pay off the debt. They weren't selling white people. They were selling beautiful black bodies, men, women, and children. How dare you think we don't deserve reparations when Georgetown University in the same city at the White House, they already said we're going to pay it. Give them some praise. It's not just me. That's what I love about doing Big C Sports Podcast. I know a lot of times people are afraid to do things. I want to thank PNC Private Bank. You know, I told you already, but I do want that $6 billion. And I also want to say I want to thank Freedman's Bank. Freedman's Bank, what's Freedman's Bank, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Freedman's Bank, also known as Freedman's Savings and Trust Company, would you believe it was created by the United States Congress March 3rd, 1865, to provide a safe place for former slaves to safely store their money. After several successful years in which the Freedmen deposited more than $60 million in the bank, it collapsed in 1874 as a result of fraud. They had 50 white trustees, and you know what they did? You know what they did to the black people and all that money? They stole the money. Created by Congress. That same Congress needs to pay out reparations and quit pretending we don't need it. Because we've been ripped off for mostly all of our lives, 1619 to 1865, and I believe Congress is going to fix that. That's important to me. Why you talk so much about reparations, Big C? Well, I'm glad you asked. NBC News, the Associated Press, CBS News, Fox News, ABC News. You know that there's a story on Big C Sports? It says California reparations, March 30, 2023. You can Google it. It says Charlton Curry of Dimdare Hills, California, who discusses reparations on his Big C Sports podcast, says that cash payments are necessary, that money talks. If you get picked up by the Associated Press, you got to give that some praise. And I'm not just doing it about me. I'm championing for reparations for all descendants of chattel slavery. It's not just that. I also want people to Google, because you think, oh, you go just talking again, Big C. You always talking crazy stuff, Big C. No, I want you to Google Senate Bill 490. That's called Senator Bradford. He's sponsoring a bill called SB 490 to create Freedmen's Bureau in California. He's a smart man. I want to give him praise. I know everybody's not at his level, but the brother's been doing some things in writing, not just chucking and jiving like a lot of people do, if that makes sense to you. But I love what I'm doing with Big C Sports Podcast. And what I always tell you when it comes to Big C Sports Podcast, I believe in telling people that they say facts tell, and stories sell. Well, I've been telling you, I'm working on a commercial. And, I'm still trying to work out the kinks, but I saw a commercial. It was by the great Larry Bird, the NBA basketball great and Hall of Famer. People know him as Larry Bird. Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. You know what I love about what I hear the Larry Bird? Larry Bird, he made his last jump shot, I want to say back in the 80s. But he's still making noise. He's still making noise. Larry Bird had a commercial with Mayhem. I'm not going to give out the name of the company, but Mayhem, people know they have a guy on TV. He's always tearing stuff up, and then they got to call the insurance company to fix it. So he has a commercial where Larry Bird's in the attic, and he's trying to call a bird catcher, and the bird catcher shows up, and he's trying to get that bird out of that house, but he kept missing it. And so Larry Bird goes up to help the bird catcher, and the guy realized that, aren't you a bird? And so the guy ends up making Larry Bird fall through his own ceiling. And therefore Michael Jordan said the ceiling is the roof. But the bird catcher didn't help him. All that mayhem still withstood. So I have my own commercial. You want to hear it? Well, I'm glad you want to hear it. It's called Asset Protection, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. And I want to tell you that that's important to me because I believe that if we all learn how to protect and guide ourselves and protect and reserve our wealth, think about it. RDC Consulting Inc., in conjunction with the law offices of Scott Thibodeau and George H. Jones, The Missing Link, long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience. You do anything for 3 decades, give that some praise. If you've been doing anything for over 3 decades, I think that deserves some kind of praise. You don't have to believe me, but do anything for 3 decades and realize that somebody's probably going to give us some praise as well. I want to tell you, Medicare and you, we have Taking Care of Tomorrow, and Medi-Cal in California, we have mail-in applications as well. But my name is Big C, also known as I'm telling you, it's so important when I say this, business consultant development, and I do it all over the country, creating opportunities for work with the RDC team. Why the RDC team? Why should Larry Bird of the Boston Celtics should have called the RDC team when he tried to get those birds out of his attic? Because we just showed him how the family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options. Our promise to you, Mr. Bird. We specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. Achoo! It's springtime, so sometimes people say that I'm a little bit, I need to be clearer with my words. If that doesn't make sense to you, where we learn how to protect your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communications with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medical equipment costs, and more, protection of your assets, Larry Bird, including your home, thereby getting those birds out of your attic. We would have protected your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program, because they will be after your assets if you don't have the right protection. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Give that some praise. I say give it praise, but that's not all. What do you mean that's not all, Big C? I'm glad you asked. We have protection insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, fixed assets, a bank account, checking account, savings account, money market, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities. What about variable assets, Big C? I'm glad you asked. Real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, other investments. Attention business owners. Larry Bird, listen up. Find out your other options to protect what your insurance company does not cover. Protection of your assets. And that would help Larry Bird get those birds out of his attic. I think that's one of the funniest commercials. I don't mind saying when something's funny, and that's a great commercial by the great Larry Bird. It's called Mayhem. That guy shows up, and he always wants to take things from you. Well, Big C, I'm glad Larry Bird got some help. He did. But I also want to tell you what I love about Big C Sports. Unlike any other sports show, other sports shows, they're just linear. Some of them, they're linear, and they only focus on what they focus on. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people have blinders on. Your TV only has one station. Well, with Big C Sports, I want to edify other people that are powerful and important to me. Why RDC team with Big C Sports? Business Development Consultant with RDC, and because we're endorsed by the California Department of Aging. I'm going to tell you why. The California Department of Aging endorses RDC. And that's Michelle Brown, the chair of the California Commission on Aging. And then also CEO Ray De La Cruz, Resource Development Consulting. Also Alex De La Cruz, the founder of American Veterans Benefits. Also Leon Woods, Resource Development Consulting, and one of the top lobbyists in California. And Mr. George Jones, the California Black Chamber of Commerce president. He's the chairman, and also the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. I want to tell you, you got to give that awesome praise. And that's with Big C, also Business Development Consultant. I want to do that and say that all the time because it's more than just me. It's not about just me. It's about a lot of people that are reaching out to make sure that we teach you how to guide and protect your assets. I got to make a note too, because I had someone tell me, I love your program. You have a lot of energy. I love your diction, the way you enunciate your words. But if I could give you some constructive criticism, he told me I don't talk fast enough. I kid you not. He said you don't talk fast enough. If you could talk faster, then I could get in the whole show before I have to use the bathroom. That's what happens when you hang out at old folks' homes. I said, they have a thing called a phone. You could Google the show and put the headphones in, and you could go to the bathroom while listening to the show. I said, give that some praise. He said, I never thought about that, Big C. He would always walk away from his device so he could go to the restroom instead of taking the show with Big C. You can take the show on the road. Give the praise to taking the show on the road. The guy was leaving his radio out of the bathroom. Everybody takes their phone to the bathroom. I mean, people do. That's a fact. I've done it a couple times myself, taking my phone to the bathroom, but that's a personal issue. I'm trying to get some counseling for that. Taking the phone to the bathroom. That's like taking your lunch to the toilet. Who wants to eat lunch on the toilet? Well, think about it. If you take your cell phone to the restroom, aren't you doing the same thing? No one takes their Big C burger to the toilet when they're using the toilet. You leave it outside of the table. You can always put the phone in your pocket and listen to it. You don't have to leave that on the table like you do the Big C burger. All friend of war. I gotta give me some praise for that. You can take your phone to the toilet when you're listening to the show. Just don't fuss the show. That makes sense, yeah. I'll tell you what I love so much about Big C Sports Podcast. I want to talk about some NBA basketball today. However, I said, I want to tell you there are times when you can get advice from people. And I'm thinking about the great Eddie Murphy. He was on the Johnny Carson show one night, and Johnny and Eddie were talking about advice. And Eddie was told by someone, don't take other people's advice. Trust your own gut. It's okay to get coaching, so I kind of believe what Eddie Murphy said, but sometimes I don't, especially when someone told me I need to talk faster. I think I talk as fast as anybody in the universe. Because I got a lot to say and I only got an hour to say it, so I talk fast. If that makes sense to you. But I guess I wasn't talking fast enough. Because some programs, they will tell you, we only want to stick to sports and that's it. But I say I'm a little bit different, if that makes sense to you. I can chew on both sides of my mouth. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. But I want to tell you, a lot of sports guys, they're trying to get into their own podcast now, and this is 8 years for Big C Sports and counting. Thank God for that. Yeah, give God some praise. I said, give God some praise. And the fact that I won the lottery tonight, the Powerball, that's also nice too. I'm not lying. God says, speak things that be not as though they were. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I want to make sure that I always do. Everybody has their own options in life, and you do what you want to do. But what I want to say, when it comes to talking about things that are important, I want to use my mind to do things that are important to me. Because there's a great NFL quarterback who actually went to, in my neck of the woods, he went to Butte College. Before that, he went to Pleasant Valley High School in Chico, and then he went to Butte College. His name is Aaron Rodgers. He also went to Cal Berkeley, and then people know that he played for the Green Bay Packers. He backed up the great Brett Favre. And when you think about it, there's a lot of radio shows today that are talking about the great Aaron Rodgers. Not because he threw a touchdown pass in the game, but they're talking about the great Aaron Rodgers because he's done something that I've been doing for a long time when I started doing Big C Sports back in the day, and that's using both sides of his brain, not just the linear side of his brain. And I'm saying that because it's almost like validation shows up, and then mainstream, they will criticize you until they start doing it. So if you think about politics, which I do all the time, and again, Aaron Rodgers, a smart man, went to Cal Berkeley. Some people say, yeah, but he didn't go to class. Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't go to class, but he was still able to throw some touchdowns in the big game against Stanford. They used to call that the big game. I guess they still call it the big game. But when I think about what he was able to do, some people can pigeonhole you into saying that you should only be an athlete and don't worry about, they say, keep your mind out of other people's business. But what he's done, Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura, RFK Jr.'s list for a running mate, has been speaking with the New York Jets quarterback for the past month. Now, some people may say, oh, it's just publicity, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has recently approached the NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers and former Minnesota governor, professional wrestler Jesse Ventura, about serving as his running mate on an independent presidential ticket. And both have welcomed the overtures. Two people familiar with it, they say they have a lot of traction. You know what could get them my vote? If Aaron Rodgers, who played at Cal Berkeley, if he were to say reparations now, reparations forever, they may get my attention. Because I know that Aaron Rodgers understands there are a lot of black men that have made him wealthy that play NFL football. He knows it, I know it, you know it. But for the fact that there are people that say, oh, we don't want to talk politics, but now that Aaron Rodgers' name came up with Jesse Ventura for Mr. J.F. Kennedy Jr., said that he had been speaking with Mr. Rodgers pretty continuously the past month. And Mr. Ventura, since the former governor introduced him at a campaign event last month in Arizona. A representative from Mr. Rodgers did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Mr. Ventura's son, Triol Ventura, said in an email message late Tuesday that no one has officially asked Governor Ventura to be vice president. But isn't that something? It's a talk of most sports shows today. Not about touchdown, home run, three-point play. Old man Willie, he's going all the way. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers, who will be a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Super Bowl champion. They're talking about him being in the world of politics. And Mr. Rodgers, who's expected to start for the New York Jets this season at the height of a campaign season, or Mr. Ventura could add star power and independent zeal to Mr. Kennedy's outsider bid. In polls showing Mr. Kennedy, he is pulling roughly equal numbers of votes away from President Biden and former President Trump. But Democrats are far more worried than Republicans that he could tilt a close election in favor of Donald Trump. And I told President Biden's administration, Kamala Harris, it's not just me, but the reason that President Biden is behind in the polls right now is just my opinion, and everybody has an opinion. I think because you're not pulling on the people that put you in office the first time. You're thinking they're just going to show up anyway. And the California Reparations Task Force, they put out proposals to repair the inequities that happened from 1619 to 2024 for descendants of chattel slavery. And some people will say, oh, that's just money. It's more than just money. Yeah, money is an option. Money is part of it. But it's education. It's healthcare. It's equity in the workforce. I know the Supreme Court overturned affirmative action. They overturned a lot of things that many progressives believe in. But you got to understand, if the black vote doesn't turn out in ways for President Biden, there would be no re-election. You can wait until the last inning if you want to, or you could do it now. Because the State of the Union, he should have said, I support the study of reparations. And all he would have been doing is backing the guy that they want to succeed him down the road. That's California Governor Gavin Newsom. And everybody in the know, they know that. Because he signed on and mandated the Reparations Task Force. But you don't support that because you won't speak about it? But you're going to tacitly say, well, we believe in equality and justice for all. Well, everybody says that. But some of those Republican governors, I told you, in 20, I think it was 30 out of 50 states, they passed over 100 bills to get voted on to do away with equity and inclusion in colleges. You can't misunderstand what I just said. We have people that are saying we believe in reparations, but we don't want to talk about it because it might upset some people. And I just told you yesterday, and I'm telling you today. And there's some governors in 30 of the 50 states. You know what they're trying to do away with equity and inclusion? And then you have Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura, or RFK Jr.'s, talking about bringing them in to get the vote. You got to realize Aaron Rodgers has a lot of sway with his teammates. Not that they're going to follow him politically. Some people think that he's just a hack, whatever. But I'm telling you also, if you realize that there are people coming into the world of politics and they want to get as many people as possible to follow what they're doing, and they're using the world of sports, give that some praise. They've exhausted other avenues. We don't want to talk sports and politics, Big C. Now almost every mainstream radio and TV station doing it because he's a white man. Aaron Rodgers, Jesse Ventura's a white man, and they're athletes, a wrestler and a football player. And you have politicians asking the sports community to endorse them. Think about that. Big C Sports been doing it a long time. Give that some praise. So I'm not crazy after all. Well, that's still up for grabs, Big C. Okay, may still be up for grabs. But I told you yesterday that the NAACP calls on black student athletes to boycott Florida public colleges over anti-diversity and inclusion efforts. Think about that. It was NAACP President Derek Johnson at the convention last year in Boston. The head of the NAACP is calling on black student athletes to reconsider their decision to attend public colleges and universities in Florida. Now, think about what that means. That's important. And it goes into politics because diversity, equity, and inclusion is on the chopping block for many conservatives. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are paramount to ensuring equitable and effective educational outcomes, Johnson said in a statement accompanying the letter, which was first reported by NBC News. The value of black and other college athletes brings to large universities is unmatched. You're going to see that in March Madness. They have the selection coming up this weekend. If the institutions are unable to completely invest in those athletes, it's time they take their talents elsewhere. And Johnson said, the Civil Rights Organization's president and chief executive, it says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis last year signed a bill that largely prohibits public colleges and universities from using state and federal funds on programs commonly grouped together under the acronym of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Who in the world would want to deny diversity, equity, and inclusion? How about Florida governor? And that's what I'm saying. In politics, people say, oh, we don't want to talk about politics, we want to talk about sports. Now, all the white stations, they come to see, they had an epiphany because they have a white quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and a white wrestler in Jesse Ventura. They're being talked about by a politician because he's smart. Because when you realize the Super Bowl had over 123 million viewers, it was the largest, most watched TV event since the Apollo 11 moon landing. Think about that. What is it about sports that galvanizes people from different backgrounds, different faiths, different religions? But if you're a smart politician, you got to go after that base. Because sports consumers, they spend the most money on products than anybody. Who do you know that will spend $5,000 for a football game? Sports fans do. Who do you know that will spend $10,000 for a Super Bowl ticket? Sports fans do. So if they have their expendable money and the corporations are the ones buying these tickets, why would you turn away from the audience that crowds the TV screen? And that's called NFL football, NBA basketball, not as much Major League Baseball because Major League Baseball, they've run away from inclusion, and so their numbers are down. But when you think about the large group of people that fund programs, they're athletes and the sports fans. So the JF Kennedy Jr. going after Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura saying they're going to be his running mates, he's probably just doing it to get some attention. And it worked, because now you got mainstream TV and radio and podcast programs that say, we don't want to talk politics like Big C. Now they're talking about it. Why are they running away from the largest audience in television history outside of the Apollo 11 moon landing? That's the sports audience. If you're a smart politician, why would you run from it? There's a reason that they would have the Super Bowl champion, the NBA champion, and the World Series champion go to the White House to talk to the President of the United States. There's a reason for that. Because they want to be associated with the sports audience that follows those teams. If you understand what I'm saying, the NFL, every game in the NFL, if you look at television ratings last year, even the lowest rated NFL game, it was higher than any TV show or program on a weekly basis. The NFL. If you don't know that, then you're losing opportunities to reach out to people. These presidents have known this. They show up at these events. I remember back in the day, Bill Clinton went to it was a University of Arkansas game when they won a national championship. We've seen Ronald Reagan, David Call, and talk to the winning Super Bowl team. And obviously, President Barack Obama. I think a lot of guys avoided Trump, but President Biden, he's had people talk to the Super Bowl winning champion. That's just part of what they've done to get part of that audience. So if you are President Biden or even President Trump, and you don't think that RFK Jr. can pull some crowd and some voters from you, you're widely mistaken. And he's doing it now. Mark my words. You're going to see President Biden and former President Trump start reaching out to the sports audience. They're going to do what RDC does. They want to protect their assets. They're not going to wait till the last minute. I mean, they may, because they're late behind. Sometimes they're late to the game. But when you think about it, if you want to reach out and grab your biggest audience, it's not the church. People don't pay $5,000 to go to a church. The pastor might want you to tithe $5,000. Or let's just say more reasonable. They're not spending $100 for a chance to go to a church meeting. But they'll spend $100 for the cheap seats at an NBA basketball game, or a Major League Baseball game, or an NFL football game. They'll spend $100 easily. And that's just parking. If that makes sense. $100 to park, I'll walk to the game. But Americans are crazy about sports. That's why the Olympics is so powerful all over the world. If you tie in your political campaign to sports, and you're a sports show, you tie politics into your sports, you'll get the power players that will pay attention to it. Don't think that JFK Jr. is mistaken where his audience can come from. He can only go to so many of his constituents and ask them to vote for him. That's why he's grabbed Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura, to get those audience members thinking about them too. You got to understand that. I see it. They always want to call the winning team that won a game and say, "Hi, this is Mr. President. Hi, this is President Big C, and I want to congratulate you on helping me pass reparations now, reparations forever." That's my speech when I'm president. But think about it. Aaron Rodgers is a smart man, whether people call him a hack or not. Jesse Ventura is a smart man, whether people call him a hack or not. Irrespective of what party they're affiliated with, they're trying to get people to vote. And now, some of those same people that said, "Big C, you talk too much about politics." Now those same guys are talking about Aaron Rodgers, Jesse Ventura, and politics. Isn't that something? I'm telling you, with our political season, it's right here for us to see. You can see it unfolding right in front of our eyes. They're going to reach out to more and more sports teams and athletes to see if we can get the vote from the people that follow them play. So for people that say you talk too much about politics, I think they're wrong. In fact, just to prove that point, you got to understand what I'm going to tell you before I get into Big C's NBA power rankings. It's so important that I say this because I'd be a fool not to talk about it. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Republican, he signed a law last year ordering diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at all state-funded colleges and universities to be shut down. He said, shut it down! In the current legislative session, GOP lawmakers in more than 30 states, 30, there are only 50 states in the United States, they have already introduced or passed more than 100 bills to either restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. According to NBC News, I'll say it one more time. As you're standing up for the kickoff, and standing up for the kickoff, and standing up for the tip-off, and waiting to cheer the game, lawmakers in more than 30 states have introduced or passed more than 100 bills to either restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Who doesn't want a more equity in the workforce in the United States? There are some people who are anti-equity. There are people who are anti-diversity. And they're lawmakers. Don't tell me I talk too much about reparations. Because they're telling you not only do they not want reparations, they don't even want you. Think about that when you say you talk too much about politics. Because we don't talk enough about politics, we got our athletes just shucking and jiving. Touchdown, home run, three-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. And you got GOP lawmakers, which is grand old party. The GOP lawmakers, to all you black folks that think Big C talk too much about politics, they're telling you, and your parents and your grandparents and great-grandparents, they have introduced or already passed more than 100 bills to either restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. They're not trying to strike down the Good Old Boy Network. I'll tell it to you one more time. They're not trying to strike down the Good Old Boy Network. That benefits white people. White men and white women. But when you're a white woman and you think, oh, they're just trying to get rid of black people from having power, I guess I'll go with that. If you understand diversity, that includes you too, white ladies, the Me Too movement. That includes you decent white men who tacitly consent by saying nothing. And for you black Americans, you want to run with the GOP, the Ground Old Party, because you think they're going to be on your side for whatever reason. You think they're going to be on your side. They're just telling you as we're standing up for the kickoff and can't wait to see the game. And they put some of our men and women on TV just shucking and jiving over who's bigger, stronger, and faster. But you don't hear about the efforts. I do want to congratulate Stephen A. Smith because he started being more like Big C lately. If you follow what I'm saying, he's starting to be more political also. Because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But they got a lot of us wasting our mind. Spark, are the audio barking mine? Big C, are the audio barking mine? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to protect my assets. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. I'm telling you, I'm going to say this one more time because some of you can't wait to pick your March Madness bracket. And while you're standing in line to pick your March Madness bracket, beautiful, intelligent black people, you got some GOP lawmakers. They're saying they don't want your sorry butt no more unless you play sports for them. So they've already submitted more than 100 bills introduced or passed to restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion. That means you. Oh, you talk too much about politics, Big C. Why don't you just shut up and talk about the game? And they're telling you right now, they don't want your black butt, your parents, your grandparents, your children. They don't want them going to their schools. You think when Governor Wallace misspoke when he said, segregation now, segregation forever? There's still people who believe in that crap. You think Big C, I don't believe that. I just told you. Last year, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, you got to understand what he did. Ordering diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at all state-funded colleges and universities to be shut down. He said, shut it down! Because they don't want those beautiful brown bodies walking around their campuses. They killed affirmative action. Now, as we're busy in line standing up for the kickoff, cheering Steph Curry for 3! Jason Tatum for 3! LeBron James for 3! As we're doing that, and not even talking about reparations, you got some of these white GOP lawmakers in more than 30 states and counting. They've already submitted or passed more than 100 bills to either restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts on college campuses. So you say you want your kid to go to college? You don't think there's an effort to make colleges more segregated again? I just told you! Take your head out of your assets! And start paying attention. Because if March Madness comes on, you're going to start saying, I can't wait for my team to win. And they're going to be cheering for the game to cut down the nets from March Madness. And yes, Steph Curry for 3! LeBron James for 3! And then they're going to get the college kids involved too. And you know what's going to happen? They're already doing it. That's why it's important that we understand, as we're standing in line for the game, GOP lawmakers in more than 30 states have already introduced or passed more than 100 bills to restrict or regulate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And then you can't get people to even say we support reparations. And not only that, they're trying to get us out of college. If not Big C, then who? Because most of us are shucking and jiving. And to me, that's a shame. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. That's why I love giving Big C Sports some praise. Well, as I'm going to do, I support Aaron Rodgers and Jesse Ventura and whatever they're going to do to try to make some noise for their political allies. And I hope that everybody can just do the best you can and stay educated. It's not just me. I support the Reparations Task Force. I appreciate being a co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project and a push for reparations and inclusion. I love working with RDC, Resource Development Consultant, and creating opportunities for people to create for jobs and insurance, to help people get their trust, their live in trust, the proper insurance, the long-term care benefits that was passed in law by Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1966, right there by his side with Martin Luther King Jr. So when you think I talk too much about politics, which is some of the main criticism I have from people that say, Big C, I like your show, but I wanna give you some. Are you open to some criticism, constructive criticism? And I say, well, maybe. What you got? And when gals and guys want to tell me, well, I like your show, but you talk too slow. You should talk faster on your show. And stay out of politics. So while they told most of our black men and women to stay out of politics, I told you they've been striking away diversity and inclusion programs and equity programs that help African Americans go to college. As we've been shutting up. And to me, if we don't stand up for ourselves, then who? What did the great man back in the day say? Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And as we've been shutting up about politics, they're stripping away the right to go to college for black Americans. That's why Big C Sports is the #1 sports show in the universe. You don't hear that on other programs. They're just shucking and jiving. As they're shucking and jiving, you have people making sure their kids can't go to college unless they play sports. And that's a fact. That's what I love about Big C Sports Podcast. I'm not like the others, don't want to be like the others. But that's a fact. You think about, as they talk about the economy's changing and AI is maybe taking over, well, that might affect white people. It's already affected black Americans. When it comes to opportunities, we've been the last hired, the first fired. That's a fact. And then there are people who try to destroy black families, especially the black men. That's been happening since the Kerner Commission proved that. So if you take away the opportunity to go to college and get a higher education, what do? That's why I'm working so hard with RDC to create opportunities for myself and other people around the country. And that's why we have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth with RDC Consulting as a business development consultant. It's more than just standing up for a game. I love playing with balls. I've been playing with balls my whole life. I love playing with balls. But now I'm trying to play with the ball of a pen to create opportunities for work for people, including myself. I ask God for every favor that comes. I believe so much in the power of God. Even if you're atheist or agnostic, you didn't create yourself. Something created everything that's out there in the universe. The stars, the moon, the stars, the air, the water, everything that's living and breathing. Something created it. It wasn't created by a human being. What do you call it? Yahshua, Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, the Alpha, the Omega, whatever it is. I want to do my part to acknowledge that when I'm doing a sports show. Because so many, I got to have I'm going to say this real quick. There are times when people, if somebody loves you, you know it. You can tell it by they check on you, they make sure you're doing okay. If they don't love you, they don't say nothing to you. But I know what I'm saying has been guided by a higher power, because everywhere I look, more and more people are blending sports and politics. And if I didn't tell you that there's over 100 laws that have been passed in 30 states, or submitted in 30 states, to get rid of equality and equity and diversity and inclusion. They're not passing laws to get rid of the good old boy network, cronyism and nepotism. How a lot of good old boys got their opportunities. They're not passing laws to reverse the Homestead Act from 1862 that gave white people over 300 million acres of land for free, just for being white. They told black people no. They're not getting rid of that law. They're not trying to redact that law. They say, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Well, I'm saying the same thing. If equity, diversity, and inclusion are not a part of your workforce or your college, university, then what kind of college do you want? You want to go back to the days of segregation? And so you're going to watch our beautiful, intelligent black boys and white kids too running up and down the court for March Madness. You're really going to hear about the 100 bills that have been passed in 30 states to prevent diversity, equity, and inclusion, unless you listen to Big C Sports. That's a fact. That's why they tell you stay out of politics, so they can take away these rights that were fought for during the civil rights. As we're saying, touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. All the way to what? I just hope that we can, at some point in time, acknowledge that a lot of laws that we benefited from, whether it's voting rights, through gerrymandering, redlining, voter obstruction, those laws can be taken away. You notice when I talked about I'm for reparations and I mentioned the reparations task force on every show. Why is Big C Sports the only show that does that? Nobody else does it. They're trying to add more inclusion, diversity, and equity. And people say, oh, we don't know if that's necessary in Big C. I just told you lawmakers in 30 of the 50 states in the United States, they're stripping away diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Big C Sports is not. You would think you'd be more people on my side talking about it. Because if we don't talk about it, it's going to go away. I'm just going to run down. I'll probably do more later this week because I want to do it more justice. But I'm going to get into Big C's NBA power rankings. I most likely will do that tomorrow. But I will touch on some NBA news. You know, it's a weekly thing for me at Big C. And sometimes my power rankings, they simply can have a U-turn. Like last night with the Sacramento Kings, they beat the Milwaukee Bucks. It's pretty easy to decide sometimes, depending on what day it is, who the top team in the league is on any given night, or the most dominant team is on every given week, whether it's the Boston Celtics or the Denver Nuggets, or you can say the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I still tell you, I like that Sacramento Kings. If they learn how to play some defense, they're going to light the beam in the playoffs. But they also need to understand they're just a few blocks away from California Senator Stephen Bradford's office that's championing reparations. In Vivek Ranadive, you understand what it's like to be an owner of an NBA basketball team. I would love to see the Sacramento Kings embrace California Senator Stephen Bradford as he's champion for reparations. Because as we don't champion for reparations and all the bills that come with it, and we sit back on our assets and let 30 states pass laws to limit diversity, equity, and inclusion, then we're part of the problem. If Big C Sports can talk about it, and I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man, but I speak the truth. If you can't Google what I say, don't listen to me. But do that same thing to other people that you listen to. They just want to shuck and jive you as they're taking away the opportunity for schools and universities to be more diverse. Give me some praise. You gotta understand that. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. I want to salute the president of Sacramento State University. He's a black man. Would you believe that he has a program aimed at inclusion and diversity for black student athletes? I'm going to have a conversation coming up with him soon. But he's one of the few, in fact, they're the only university in the United States, I think, is the first of its kind. And Sacramento State launches a Black Honors College. It's the first in the nation initiative. Think about that. Sacramento State's first of its kind Black Honors College, which is designed for all students interested in black history. Not just black students, not just African American students, but all students interested in black history, life, and culture. It aims to improve the black graduation rate, enrollment, and retention rates. I'm going to say African American graduation rates, enrollment, and retention rates, because there are so many forces that want to work against this. They do it by dividing black men first. If they can do that, that's half the problem. And you have some white people that'll go along with it, and they look forward to the demise of that. And as I tell them, God sees what you're doing, may lightning strike! I told you 100 bills have been introduced in 30 states to limit diversity, equity, and inclusion. Listen to this. Listen to what Dr. King says.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
As I tell you, you gotta love what Dr. King said. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Over 30 states and counting in the United States, only 50 states, have submitted over 100 bills, submitted or passed over 100 bills to limit diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you're afraid to say that we deserve reparations? They're trying to do away with not only reparations, but even the right to go to class on a white campus. Google it. I speak the truth. As I always tell you, if you're gonna drink, don't drive. If you're gonna drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love drink and drive. The life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always, give that some praise. As I always tell you, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Burdini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me say, reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. There's nobody greater than Muhammad Ali. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap. You know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911 because no man, woman, or child should ever be abused. And that's my story and I'm sticking with it. Anyone who loves you, they don't hurt you. You need more LEADA in your life. LEADA is an acronym for love is the answer. People try to hurt you in all kind of ways, and God knows it. And then they go to church and they pray. Well, if you're going to do right, just do right by people. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always want to tell you on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day. What about Abraham Lincoln, Big C? Oh, I got to say, I want to pay homage to my beautiful family. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my beautiful mother, and the best mom in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coaching all boys Little League baseball team to the championship. Always saying rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. On my father's side, my grandfather, my grandmother said there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. Really do appreciate her. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. My beautiful brother, love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Sent the very first interview for Big C Sports back in the day at Salem Median. It was the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College student, very smart, erudite, a good man. I love you, Malcolm. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God and always do the best you can. Malcolm helped me save trees, so I used to always look at newspapers to look up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went out. Been Googling ever since. And now on 29 podcast platforms and 4 TV platforms. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. And you'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now streaming live on 4 TV platforms and 29 TV platforms, or podcast platforms. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, just like anybody that wants anything in life, you say you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. Let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no three-minute teleprompters. You can tell that. But as I always take it on every Big C Sports show, I love saying praise past reparations now, past reparations forever. Come on, you can do your best at reparations. They're already taking away diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in 30 states. It's time to pass reparations now. Pass reparations forever. I'll say it one more time. They're already put 100 bills in 30 states to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right now is the time to pass reparations now. Pass reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.